When you've got all your data entry done, then you're ready to e-file. Click here to get started. There are 6 steps to our process, and we'll go through them all here. It's going to be a longer video than usual, so if you need a refresher on just one step, you can use the guide here to skip to that part of the video. I recommend that before you e-file the first time, you either call us and go through it with someone on staff, or watch this video from start to finish. There are lots of tips and tricks that you might otherwise miss. With that, let's get the show on the road. To start, you must choose a range of dates from the drop-down menu. If you're doing a quarterly report, choose a quarter. If you're doing a monthly report, choose a month. We're going to go with a quarterly report here, but the process will be exactly the same no matter what range of dates you choose. The first thing you're going to see here are diagnostics, and as you can see, everything lit up. Now before I go through what all these things are, I want you to know that I don't have to fix any of this. I can just accept and calculate taxes at any time. As always, we're providing tools, but how and if you use those tools is completely up to you. So let's go through these points one at a time. Do odometers balance forward from the previous quarter? Each quarter, as you complete a tax return, the highest odometer for every truck will be captured and forwarded to the next quarter. That allows us to check for odometer gaps between quarters by comparing the last odometer reported from, say, fourth quarter to the first odometer reported in the first quarter. If there's a gap, then odometers do not balance between the quarters, and this no will light up. If this is your first time entering data into the website, you won't trigger this because there's nothing to compare to. And if you don't have any odometers, you won't trigger this either for the same reason. However, if the trucks are required to report every mile traveled, so it's important to find and fix these gaps between the quarters if there are any. Now I want to view the report because I want to show you how we make it easy to find and fix this stuff. Some basics about this diagnostic report first. Each report header has a client name, the date the report was run, and the range of dates the report was run for. Then each diagnostic point is within its own box, and each box has its own title, instructions, data, and hints for fixing the problems listed. Okay, now on to the diagnostic. This point has the data ID number, the truck number, the dates, and the odometer from those dates. So I know right away that the problems here are on unit 404 and 303. There's a legitimate 100-mile gap here for unit 404. I don't know what this guy was doing on New Year's Eve, but these dates let me know that I'm missing miles. Now unit 303. Because my ending odometer from last quarter is actually the beginning of the previous quarter, 10-1, I'm not going to worry about this. Of course there's a gap. There's a whole quarter worth of data there. But some things that might concern me here would be if the odometers went backwards or if the gap was too large for the dates. I'm always tempted to recommend how others should fix these things, but it's really a matter of your office policies. So call us if you want to talk with us about what we would do or how we would track down the cause of the problem. Now let's go back to diagnostics and move on to the next point. Number 2, are miles reported for all trucks with an IFTA decal? Because our system lets you track permits at the truck level, the system can tell if you've reported miles for all the trucks that you said had an IFTA permit. This might light up an error if one of those trucks is non-opt, or if you checked an IFTA permit checkbox by accident, or forgot to uncheck it if a sticker was removed. But usually you'll only see this when the trucks that you said have an IFTA sticker don't have any data reported. This could happen if a driver didn't turn in trip sheets for the quarter or if a GPS device was broken and not pinging data. So let's jump back over to the report and see what's what. So it looks like I didn't report any miles for unit 767. Do I need to call the driver and get his miles? Is he on vacation this quarter? Is the truck broken down? How you answer those questions is up to you. The point here is that we know which truck is missing and we don't have to spend any time looking for it, only correcting it. Now number 3, are all the reported states touching? This one is fairly simple. You can't get from Texas to Florida without driving through all the states in between. So over on the report, we'll tell you exactly which unit, date, and state is incorrect. And this is cool because I know this guy and I know he doesn't travel this far north. He likes to stay where it's warm. So I want to check this one out right now and show you how to use this ID number on the View Edit screen. So I'm going to highlight this ID number here by double clicking, and I'm going to hit Control-C with my keyboard, and that copies this number to my clipboard. I'm going to go back to Diagnostics, then the Dashboard, and then View Edit Data. I'm going to pull a report for just Unit 404 for the first quarter and search for the data. Now, there's a bunch of ways I can find this record, but I want to start with that ID number we just copied. With the search showing everything, I'll click Control F on my keyboard. And that brings up this Search and Find menu on the top. Every browser is a little bit different, so yours might be on the right or on the left or in the center, but it almost always works. Then I'm going to hit Control V to paste that number into the find. And you can see as soon as I clicked V, it highlighted that number where that data point is. And it shows me in relation to where all the rest of the data is before and after. Now in this case, because my data is uploaded from a template, just seeing the data in context doesn't help me know how to fix it. But this method of finding the incorrect state should work in any browser. I can also scroll back to the top here and sort these alphabetically by state. And then I just need to look for Maine alphabetically. Or I could reset my search completely and change my search parameters. Let's see, Unit 404, first quarter, and I only want to see Maine. And click Search. And now it'll pull up only that row, so I didn't have to look for it at all. Any of these methods should work in any browser. If I knew what state this should be, all I would have to do is click the pencil here and fix it. But I haven't done that research yet, so I'm just going to go back to Diagnostics and I'll figure this out later. Okay, number 4. Are there miles in every state where fuel was purchased? You can't buy fuel in a state without driving in that state, right? So let's go back to our report. And we know it's Unit 404, and they supposedly bought fuel in Kentucky. So I'll go through that same process again to find the line of data, and then I'll decide how to make the correction. Am I missing miles, or is the state a typo? Again, as easy as this one may seem, I can't tell you how you would want to make the correction. How you make and document your data corrections is completely up to you. Number 5. Do the miles entered match the mileage calculated by odometer? This one is us doing some basic math for you. The difference between the beginning and ending odometers listed within a quarter should match the number of miles you reported in that quarter. This is important because as more and more kinds of electronic data become available and get mixed in with traditional data entry, it's easier to miss gaps if you're not paying very close attention. And remember, GPS data isn't perfect either. I helped someone just the other day find and fix a gap that was uploaded from their GPS provider. Because the data was uploaded instead of being keyed in line by line, we only found the gap because of this point in Diagnostics. So let's go to the report and see which units have gaps. This is telling me that on units 404 and 303, my beginning and ending odometer give me one total of miles, but that the actual miles reported are different. And here is what that difference is. To fix this, I have to go back to the original data and figure out where the gap came from. Am I missing miles? Is there a bad odometer? Did the driver give me bad totals? Did the GPS go down? Once I know what's wrong with the data, I can decide how to fix it. I might want to use the gap spreader tool from Other Miles, or I might want to correct a typo. Check out the video next to the gap spreading tool under Other Miles for more details about finding and fixing these gaps. Is each truck MPG between 4 and 8? For most 80,000-pound trucks, an MPG outside this range is an audit flag. So we're going to call it out for you and show it to you. So let's open the report, because for this guy it looks like it's just one unit and his MPG is way low, 1.7. So I probably want to call this guy and make sure I've got all his miles, or find out if he was having trouble with his truck during the quarter. On the other hand, if the MPG was high, I might ask instead if he was traveling light or if he had all the fuel receipts. I may or may not fix this one, but I do want an explanation in my records either way. Whatever I decide to do, I'll likely make a note under the View Edit Data screen on the fuel records so that it prints on my reports later if there's an audit. Number 7. Are miles reported only on trucks with an IFTA decal? This one is going to let you know if you've reported miles on a truck that doesn't have an IFTA sticker. There are lots of reasons you may want to have done that data entry. For example, your GPS provider may have sent it to you in their data file, or you may have trucks changing from inter to intra-state travel. But it doesn't belong on your IFTA tax return if the truck truly doesn't have an IFTA sticker. So if we flip over to the report, it's going to tell us that Unit 100 has data, but no sticker. And either those miles need to be included, and you should review your vehicle screen to check if the IFTA checkbox is checked, or it's okay that they are excluded. Any data for this truck will be excluded from your IFTA tax return. That's why we're showing it to you. You know your fleet, you know how it should be, and you now have the control to make this tool work for you. And finally, are all U.S. metric conversions complete? When carriers purchase fuel outside of their base country, or if an owner-operator has a truck manufactured for operation in a foreign country, distance and fuel may be reported in a different unit of measure than the rest of the trucks on your IFTA tax return. This information has to be converted prior to preparing the tax return. This diagnostic point will attempt to highlight entries you should review prior to finishing this tax return. You can check the supplemental instructions page for more information in the Support Center if you have questions about reporting operations in a foreign country. Now, many of our customers run this report each month when they finish data entry and try and fix the problems before they get to the quarterly filing season. You're welcome to do that. In fact, you can run the diagnostics as many times as necessary to find and fix all the problems you can before moving on and clicking Accept and Calculate Taxes. We don't keep the record that you started a return until you get past step 4. So now, back on diagnostics, I went through and fixed all the errors I'm going to fix. Here are my original diagnostics. And here they are rerun. You can see they look much better. So now I'm going to accept the things I cannot change and calculate my taxes. These two sets of checkboxes are extremely important. By checking this file return checkbox, you're saying that these are the actual tax returns you want to prepare. A couple of notes for you. Oregon doesn't show up here unless you set it up as a quarterly tax filing on the permit screen. If you file Oregon monthly, you'll need to remember to e-file again for the monthly returns, and then your Oregon return will pop up. We selected a quarter when we began, not a month, so this is only showing returns that are marked on your permit screen as quarterly filings. And New York is computing taxes for unladen weights only. We cannot do the calculations for laden weights at this time, but you will get the raw data that you need to do it offline. So check the boxes for the returns you actually want to have prepared and uncheck the boxes for any you don't want to prepare. Next, this is the e-file service checkbox. As you know, we can e-file these tax returns for you, just like we e-file 2290s for you, if two conditions are met. First, you have to check this box. And notice it's all or nothing. We're not going to fragment the e-filing here. So either we do all of your reports or we do none of them. Second, you do have to have the logins and passwords. You can easily add them in here if you need to, and it will be saved back to the permit screen for the client. But without a login and password, we cannot e-file for your clients. Finally, if you're missing permits on this list, then go to the permit screen and make sure of two things. First, that the permits are set up, and second, that the report frequency is correctly selected. Then review the vehicle list using the Edit Permit screen to tell us which trucks have which permits. And while you're reviewing your fleet, be sure they all have a commercial gross vehicle weight entered in so that the tax rates are applied correctly. We cannot e-file for permits if we don't know you have them, and we can't apply tax rates correctly if we don't know the weights of the trucks. So once you have everything here as you want it, just continue. Select Report Options is just a bunch of checkboxes. If a return is a final return, which means you're giving back the return and canceling it, you can indicate that here. If it's a non-op, you can indicate that here, but this checkbox should show up for you automatically based on your data. If it's an amended return, be sure to check that box, and if you're delinquent, again, the website should know and check the box for you automatically. Check that box too. The number of months here is interesting. I have a client who is always late, and he's always late for some reason by 2 months. He'll get me his 4th quarter data in February, and even if I turn the report around to him right away, he won't pay it until March. So when I'm running his report, I check the checkbox for delinquent and I add in 2 months. That way, the appropriate penalties are calculated along with the taxes. This is also useful when I can't get a tax return to a client until so close to the deadline that I know they will miss it. This lets me put the penalties on there for them, and then their check will be written for the correct amount. I'm not going to check any of these boxes this time because none of them apply, so I'll just continue. Step 4, Summary Review. This is showing you at a glance the status of each permit and the taxes due. It's also got the total miles, total fuel, and the MPG calculated for you here, where it's applicable. Most important to me personally is this button that says View Data. This is the actual calculation page, and we recommend you click the button and look at the data. You can print or save a copy of this report if you'd like to have it for later. You're probably used to reviewing this information, so look at it if you do nothing else. You can get a copy later from your filing history page, but not until after the tax return is complete. So if you'd like to have a copy in the meantime, be sure to save it now. You can also view the billing report. This is a one-page document that we print and send to our customers when their taxes are ready. Notice we took our logo off the top here so that you can use it too. It asks how they want to pay their taxes due, and it shows them how much they owe on each return. You might also use this just to call your customers and tell them their tax returns are ready, or to save as backup in your file, or you might hand it over to the accounting department to create the invoice, or you might even find a new use for it that we haven't thought of. The point is only that it's here for you. It's just one more tool from our website. When you're ready, you can click Continue. At this point, the website will create an incomplete return for you on the dashboard. So if you're just using this process to review your data and you don't want to save a record of having started a tax return, then don't continue here. Just exit to the dashboard. I'm going to go ahead and continue here now because I want to go back to the dashboard really quick and just show you what I mean. Now here, under Filing History, we have all the tax returns ready to go, and you can just resume any of them anytime. So here we are again, right at step 4, right where we left off. Do check out the video on the Filing History page and learn how we help you keep track of your work to ensure that nothing falls through the cracks. All right, continue. Step 5, Payment Instructions. This is a similar summary to the View Billing Report. Right now, these payments are all still in your hands. We're not going to be handling your client's tax dollars. So if you have questions or suggestions for us here, please call us anytime and let us know. And that's it. Continue, and you're ready to go. If we had chosen the e-file service here, you would be done. You would just have to wait for me to return the tax documents to you from the States, and then make your payments and upload those receipts to finish the process. But we chose not to e-file these tax returns. So this is the only part of the process that's different. Now, instead of being done, we're going to get these reports. There are links here directly to the States, so you can jump right to processing these filings. Here's your login and password information and all the client information you need to be sure you're looking at the right client. If you scroll down, you'll see the data summaries as well. This is the information you're going to type in yourself when you e-file for your customer. When you're done, use this tool here to save your tax return into the file cabinet and either mark the return as complete if you paid taxes at the time of filing, or as filed not paid if you still need to make the tax payment. In our office, we use filed not paid a lot because our clients want to hold on to their tax money as long as possible. We might get a return prepared on the 5th, but the client doesn't want to pay until the deadline. So we go ahead and file on the 5th and get the complex part of the job out of the way while our office is a little quieter. Then, on the deadline day, we take the stack of clients who wanted to pay at the last minute and finish the job. You may be worried something would fall through the cracks if you tried it that way, but rest assured, it's easy to keep track with the tools in the filing history. Once you're done with the first return, you just move on to the next one. If you have to leave the e-file page, all your returns will be available on the dashboard under Filing History. Just click Go Pay, and you'll be right back where you were. And that's it. That's the e-file process. Now I know we're a little bit ahead of the curve with the e-filing service, but I want you to think about how much time and frustration you'll save your office by not doing duplicate data entry. This really is the way of the future. The 10 key is the way of the past, and we want you to be ahead of the curve with us. Thanks so much for watching.